Hey, this is Helme, and today we're going to be cutting a hole in drywall. And they can be large holes. You want to install a recessed medicine cabinet, recessed ironing board, recessed toilet brush holder. Any reason you want to cut a hole in drywall, we'll be doing it. I'll show you the tools you'll need, the setup, how to minimize the chances of finding electric wiring, ductwork, and then actually cutting the hole, and what to expect when you get in there. So let's go ahead and we'll look at the tools and items you'll need to get started. All right, here we are. We have a number of items that you'll need. The first and very important is a tarp. Something that doesn't have to be this big, but something that will go a couple of feet on either side of the area you're going to cut and protect the floor and make it easier to clean up. You'll need a roll of masking tape or painter's tape, pencil to mark on the wall. Tape measure is always a good thing to have around. You'll need a level to make sure that your lines are plumb and level. This is called a drywall saw, easily acquired at Home Depot or Lowe's. Makes cutting drywall very simple. And this is a drywall knife, box cutter. Can also be used for cutting the drywall with even less dust. Do not use a power jigsaw, a reciprocating saw, anything like that. It just makes an ungodly mess, and you don't need it. It's overkill. All right, the next step is to look at the product you're actually going to install on the wall. Today it's a recessed toilet brush cabinet. As I said before, you'll always want to follow all the manufacturer's instructions. This does have instructions on the back of the box. They're pretty simple. Side. That's the toilet brush cabinet. And this one comes actually with a template, and most things that go in the wall, or many things that go in the wall, will have a template. This one has adhesive on it, so it acts like a post-it note. Once we determine where we'll put it, this will stick to the wall, and then we'll cut along the dotted line. Now let's go and look at the location where we're actually going to cut the hole. All right, this is probably one of the most important parts of the whole project. Actually, cutting the hole is a piece of cake. You just want to minimize the chances of being surprised by something in the wall that's going to get in the way of your installation. Generally, that would be electric wires, plumbing, and plumbing could either be water lines or drain pipes. And the other that you most commonly see would be any kind of duct work. So, important that you look at the face of the wall where you're going to cut and look for where the electric outlets are, see if there's any sinks or toilets. The product we're installing is obviously going to go in a bathroom, so we want to position it away from a sink where water lines might be coming through. Always go to the back side of the wall and look at what's there. If you see a register, then there's probably ductwork coming from your heating and air conditioning. You may have baseboard. Same thing, you want to look for possible obstructions. If you're lucky enough to have a basement, you can go in the general region of where that wall is underneath the house and look up, and again, look for pipes that would be passing through that wall or electricity. All right, we picked the location where we're going to go. I've noticed that there's some electric outlets, but there's no other possible obstructions on the wall. The other thing that's very important, that you're going to find in every wall, is usually every 16 inches inside the wall, there's a 2x4 that runs from the floor to the ceiling. It's a structural part of the construction of the house. For $10 at Home Depot, you can buy a stud finder, which is a little handheld device, a little bigger than a pack of cigarettes, that will detect the stud in the wall. I use the old-fashioned way of just knocking, and I can hear a sound, hear when it sounds hollow, and hear when it's not. Once you find one stud, you usually have 14 inches on either side of that. That would not have another stud, usually. The manufacturer says place this within a couple of inches of the baseboard, so I've chosen my location right here. In the template I'm just holding up to make sure the surface I'm putting it on is flat. I'm going to peel away part of my post-it note part. Now the level comes into play. I'm going to use a level and just put it across the dotted line and make sure, this way, and make sure that my line is level. So now I know I'm level, this is where I want it to go. The dotted line is what I'm going to be cutting against. I'm going to take the rest of the paper off the template, now I'm stuck to the wall. Here's the magic part of cutting a hole in the wall. A sharp drywall saw. Before you start cutting, gently rock the drywall saw into one corner of where your opening is going to be, and just sweep it up and down. If you go in about 3.5 inches and you'll hit the drywall on the other side, do that sweep. And I know there's nothing, I'm not hitting anything in there. I'm going to do the same thing right here. And again, if there's a wire or pipe, you'll either hear it or feel it. And given the amount of damage I've done, which is just 3 little slits, if I run into some major obstruction that I can't see, but it tells me I don't want to cut into the wall right there, these are easy to patch. Again, sweep, nothing there. Just to make sure, let's cut the hole and see what we got. I got a very important step with my tarp on the floor. I'll take a piece of painter's tape. Just tape right across there. Any debris that falls will fall right on my tape. It's going to make cleanup a snap. Inside, what you see is not a gap, but there's actually insulation there, and we have a wire. Luckily, the wire will just push up out of the way. Using my drywall knife, I'm going to get some cutaway insulation. Pull that out, set it aside, push the insulation back out of the way. And there we have a clear hole. Now, say before you use any fasteners or adhesive, in this case they have double-sided tape on the back of the box. We'll leave that intact, we'll take it apart, and we'll do a dry run to see if everything fits smoothly before we actually put any adhesive on it. Box slides in. Put it back together just to make sure everything's working. Backing off. Press the box in firmly. Put the door on it. Close the door. And the installation is now complete.